Okay, my beautiful friends, here we go. We are together again at last. I seriously was looking forward to doing this video all day long. We have a lot to talk about. Post-market wrap-up. Let's start off with this. Stocks got hit across the board today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 268 points. Not that big of a deal in the face of what came across the tape today with regard to things that should be affecting this market. If they did not manage to prop up crude oil today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average would have lost at least 500 points, maybe 700 points. Crude oil was the saving grace today with regard to this fake market. Again, we have a lot to talk about. Cryptocurrencies got hit. Metals got hit. The dollar fell. And you would imagine that would be positive for precious metals, right? Maybe even cryptocurrencies. Maybe even stocks. But not today. Again, let's do a blow by blow here. Yeah, this is too much. Right off the bat, this is Reuters headline. U.S.-China trade deal stalled. Look, this narrative is insane that they continue to push down the throats of the American people. There is no deal in sight, period, the end. China is making demands. And I find this a little bit disturbing, but let's talk about it real quick. China's saying, you want a deal? Roll back the tariffs. Well, why isn't our president saying, okay, you first? Again, China has tariffs on us, and you're not allowed to know about it. This is why the president will not say in front of the camera or whatever it might be, okay, China, you want us to roll back tariffs on you? You do it first. You are not allowed to know that China has tariffs on us. And, of course, you know, they're not paying the tariffs. You are. It's incredible. It really is. But this is the narrative. It's frankly vomitous in my view. Now, as the day progressed, it got even better. Okay, so China, this is time.com. China repeats demand for rollback of tariffs, just like I said. Our president will not say a word about their tariffs on us. It's revolting in my view. Then all of a sudden we get this, came right after. President Trump says, China wants to make a deal, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it's again, what is this? It's unbelievable. And again, right after that, right as he was about to get on Air Force One helicopter, Trump says China wants to make a deal. It's insane. China does not want to make a deal. He wants the deal. And I wish he would keep his mouth shut. Now, he forgot, I guess, to tell, here, this is beautiful. I love this. So later on during the day, as we all know, trade deal's nonsense. It's not real. Kellyanne Conway came out right before the camera and says, here we go. U.S.-China trade deal possible before the end of the year. It's a joke. And you know who the joke is on? The joke is on the American people. Now, that alone, the fact that this deal is not happening anytime soon, should have hit the market at least as bad as it got hit today, if not worse. Then we get this. And again, I am not happy to sit here and say it, but our economy is in free fall, and the free fall is getting much worse. Two headlines today. U.S. construction spending craters, and your manufacturing falls again. People, we are in recession. You're not allowed to know this. It's a pathetic situation for the United States, for our economy. And headline after headline, here's Market Watch. U.S. manufacturing sector weakens further. We are in contraction now for consecutive months. You're not supposed to know this. It's an incredible situation. Again, it's absurd. A key manufacturing index shows the U.S. remains a contraction territory. And the president came out, he doesn't know if the Hong Kong bill is going to make a China deal harder, but they won a deal. He had to say that later on. It's incredible. No China trade deal in sight. Looks like the mythical Phase 1 deal is not as close as POTUS has been parroting for weeks. Oh, sorry. He's been parroting this for over 2 years. Market didn't like it. So again, if it were not for crude oil today, and I'm just looking through this real quick, I'm going to close it, stocks would have plunged more than 500 points. Crude oil was the saving grace today. Let's see what they pull out of a hat over the next several days. Look, you know it, and I know it. This market will not be allowed to fall. They will prop this up through every single mechanism possible, things that we can't even dream about. Not just jawboning. Again, understand this. Without the China trade deal is going well, a deal is close narrative, the market will fall thousands of points. This is why in the same day you get conflicting stories like this right out of the mouth of the president. Boom, 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 boom. It must be maintained. If the market really believes that there is no deal in sight, you can expect this market to fall thousands of points. Thousands. Not hundreds. Thousands. Look, this market is so massively distorted, so incredibly overvalued. We're in la-la land. La-la land. The U.S. economy is in free fall. We haven't had one piece of good economic news, how about this, in years. Years. But the spin doctors out there keep spinning it. We are in contraction. Major sectors of our economy are in contraction. We are in recession. No one wants to admit it. The numbers are fake. It's an incredible thing to watch this unfold. And it's, look, I believe this. I really do. If we did not have the level of corruption in our government right now, coming right out of the president and on down, and we were getting truth here, we could turn this around. The fact that we cannot get a single piece of truth out of the president, any of his cronies, the propaganda ministry, should tell you something. This is an engineered bubble. They're keeping everybody in the dark. The president has yet still to mention one time that the Federal Reserve is involved in a repo scan perpetual, propping up the debt market to the tune of trillions of dollars. This is the biggest round of QE we've ever had, even since the financial crisis. The one we're in now is bigger, but you're not even hearing about it. President will not mention it, will not talk about it. No, because the lie must be maintained. If people really knew that right now enormous amounts of debt are being piled on their back and their children's back, people don't even think about it. You don't even hear about it. Via this new round of quantitative easing, they would maybe start to say, well, hold on a minute. Our economy is booming. Meanwhile, we keep getting slammed with round after round of bad economic news. You got to be kidding me. There's going to be a moment, people, where these two things converge. Stock market, we fell a little bit today, but the diversion or the divergence between the economy, which continues to fall, and the stock market, this gap is going to fill, and it's going to fill rapidly at one point. Not yet. They are not done propping this up. So the narrative of a trade deal, the narrative that China wants a deal is close, must be maintained despite everything to the contrary. And there's still going to be a faction of people out there, a fraction, thank goodness, that will believe it. They've been programmed. They have no choice. They have to, fall in line. This is a historical norm. And it's very sad. As long as there remains this small fraction of people out there, probably less than 20%, who will believe, maybe 18% or so, that a deal is close, the economy is booming, things are going well. That small group is enough, really, to keep the charade going as well. And they, despite all the evidence to the contrary, they will believe it. They have no choice. It's the weak-minded. This is how the weak-minded have been ruled and controlled since time immemorial. It will not stop. And that's another reason why the narrative will be maintained. That 18% of the population or so, those are the ones that I think for the most part, or for the entire part, all this is being directed at. If you look back on history again, because I always do that, it's always the small group out there that tends to make a lot of noise. And that's what they're counting on here, today, in this environment. Keep that small faction of people brainwashed, programmed, reactive. And that'll keep everything the way it is now until we get that moment of realization. It's the same scenario every single time. So in summary here, the U.S. economy is in free fall. This free fall is quickening. That does not mean the stock market is not going to get propped up by any and all means necessary. And today, if it were not for crude oil being propped up, 500 points, 600, 700, maybe 1,000, the China deal is dead. We never had a deal. There was never a phase one deal at all, although we were all told by the president that we had one. Who's he talking to? That 18%, that 20% of the population that will believe. They must believe. They have to comply. The weak-minded, they cannot think for themselves. They can't do it. And that's who this entire thing is being directed at. For those of us that understand what's going on, well, again, at least we have the wisdom to understand that this is a game. This is a terrible charade, and these lies, just like I've been explaining to you, are going to get larger. Okay, so be ready for whatever's coming down the pike. Anyway, with that said, people, please share this video. Get it out there. This guy loves you, and I will see you in the morning.